In tonight's episode, we are going to take you back a little bit. We said in this chapter, we're going to kind of talk about topics. So we're not going so much in timeline order. So we've kind of caught you up in, like the Barry timeline and things like that. But we're going to actually back up. So our last episode where I have my meeting with Barry. So I have my conversation with him in like January of 2021 because my plan is after the banquet, I'm quitting my job, right? I'm going to be done.
Yeah.
So we're going to actually back up tonight to September. And the reason why we kind of saved this part of the story until now is because we needed you to understand all the other reasons why Tom and Charlotte are not really big fans of Melissa, Amanda, or Brandy right now. So now that you have that in mind, let us take you back to September of 2020.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about this little podcast that we had started. Come to the table.
Faith can feel like hearts and butterflies until someone lights a match and burns it all to the ground. Welcome to the Burning Butterflies podcast.
The sad thing is that there's abuse of every kind within the church. But the spiritual abuse is the stuff that just
It's a place there shouldn't be abuse. Like, there just shouldn't be abuse in a place that claims to.
Well, it ruins your soul. If you're new here, we suggest listening to our prologue episode first. This is the story of two women's journey through toxic church culture and spiritual abuse, all while finding healing in the end.
Sometimes it's just the facts, and if you get offended by it, that's a you issue. And if we can't be mature enough to have these conversations, even if some of the topics are difficult, then shame on us.
Yes, which, funny thing, because we started it as like Facebook Lives, like we were doing because COVID shut everything down, we were going to do this like Bible study via Facebook Live. And I do just think it's funny that like I was telling somebody at work and she was like, Melissa, I'm not going to watch Facebook Live while I'm driving in the car. You need to make it a podcast. And I'm like, what's a podcast? And she's like, you don't know what a podcast is? And I'm like, no. And so she like is like, give me your phone. You have an app for it, right? Because I have an Apple phone, right? So she shows me like Apple Podcasts. And I'm like, oh, this is so cool. And so in true boomer fashion, but I definitely pulled a boomer card right here. I go running to Amanda and I'm like, oh my gosh, we need to make our Bible study a podcast. And you're like, I'm like, do you know what a podcast is? And you're like, yeah, we do that with like the sermons.
Yeah, I had been doing that. I had been doing that for a couple years at this point. I had been ripping the audio from Tom's sermon videos and uploading them as podcast episodes. That was one of the things. It's so funny that that's how you reacted, because that's one of the things that, like, when we went to Georgia and we were sitting at that conference, they're like, you need to be, ripping the audio from your videos and putting it out there in podcast form. And Tom looks at me and he's like, write that down. We need to do that. And I looked at him and I was like, we are doing that.
That's why I said I had a boomer moment. So anyway, yeah. So once we created this thing called Come to the Table that was no longer Bible study, it was a podcast.
Yeah. And so we did Bible study-ish topics, right?
Yeah.
And we were enjoying ourselves. We had women who would watch online. We had women who would come in person. We really felt like we were doing something. And
Yeah.
we felt like we were being raw and edgy because for Come As You Are, we were edgy.
We were so raw and edgy.
Yes. Compared to us now, we're like, oh, girl, you're so cute.
But I mean, like, we were so edgy for Come As You Are. We got in trouble.
Yes. So we needed you to understand all the reasons leading up to all the things that made Tom and Charlotte so frustrated with us. The Barry, the Miss America, the eldership stuff, the ministry stuff, all of these little pieces, right? They're already frustrated with us. COVID didn't do us any favors. And so September rolls around and we're doing it, and we're kind of rocking this. Like, we have women showing up, and it got to the point where, because in the beginning I would set the audio up at the front and I would set a camera, and then we would just kind of leave it. And then Brandy would come down with the microphone and talk in the microphone to the women in the audience, and then she would watch Facebook Live. And so if someone commented, she would read it into the microphone so everyone could hear everything, right? The women at home could hear what the women in person were saying, and vice versa. And so it just got to the point where we needed someone up in the sound booth because the sound wasn't coming through well with just Brandy carrying around a live mic. And some women, talked in the microphone like this, and some women talked back here like this. And, the audio just wasn't good. And so we needed someone up in the sound booth. So at this point in time, you are planning your escape from Froggy, but we haven't got to the point yet where you and Froggy are leading a Bible study together.
Right. We're not that
far
yet.
We're almost there. We're approaching that.
Right.
And
yeah.
so
still trying to play doing all the things.
And
right?
This is where Brandy is still very much Team Froggy. She feels like they are kindred spirits. She understands him. She understands what it's like to always be looked at as the screw up and no one have any faith in you.
I feel like with her being such a cheerleader too, it was almost like it's like a Hail Mary. You know what I mean? Like, yes, I was done. Yes, I'm done. I'm planning my escape. But yet I'm still holding out this glimmer of hope for this Hail Mary, and especially with Brandy being a cheerleader and just being like, no, it's going to happen. Right. Because we were moving and shaking and making strides, and we're going up against, the authority, and we're speaking out against, Barry and all this. Like, I feel like we felt like we were like in the 70s and we were these crazy protesters and we were going to take down the establishment. And so I do feel like there was that, like, always that one glimmer of hope, right?
Yeah.
It's like Lady Gaga's song, A Million Reasons. Like, I have a million reasons to leave, but if I just got that one valid reason to stay, right? And that's kind of what I feel like was going on up until, because they already know what happened with the Bible study. So I feel like up until that point, there was still this glimmer of
he could change. He could change.
I have
a plan if he doesn't. But I'm going to hold out hope that he does.
I'm holding out hope at this point. Brandy's on Team Froggy, right? Yeah. So Froggy's going to do the sound for us.
And I think it was actually Brandy who talked him into it, if I remember correctly.
Probably.
That he was going to come and do sound. Well, so this is a Saturday, right? So Tom shows up at the church on a Saturday, which Tom typically isn't at the church on a Saturday. He thought the church was going to be empty. So whether he was going to come play his guitar or whatever he was going to do, but he shows up and all of our cars are out front.
Yeah.
So he comes in and sees us on the stage doing our thing, a few women watching us, right? And Froggy up in the sound booth. And I remember, like, I vividly remember him walking in and looking confused as hell. And then kind of like looking around and realizing Froggy was up in the sound booth and going up and talking to him. And we couldn't hear what he was saying, but they're talking and Froggy's pointing at us and like doing a thumbs up and all of this. So I was excited. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, Tom's going to see what a good job we're doing. He's going to be so excited. He is going to love this. And he's going to see how easy it is. Because remember, we were supposed to do a vlog. We had a set and all the stuff for Tom to do this. Right? And so I was excited because I was like, he's going to see us doing it and he's going to see how easy this is. And then he's finally going to want to do it. That was not the result that I thought we were going to get.
Not at all.
I am the dumbass who is like, oh, Tom's going to love it. He's going to be so excited.
The silliest part is, like, as mad as he was at us for doing what we were doing, I think he was more mad that, like, it wasn't on the calendar or something. I don't know.
It was on the calendar because I was doing the calendar.
You're right. It was on the calendar, but he was so mad about the fact that whatever it was, he was going to come over and do at the church on a Saturday. He did
not know.
He didn't look at the calendar and he didn't realize because he's like, well, it's not women's breakfast and it's not this. So I can go over and play my guitar all day. And he was so mad.
So he's mad. We think he's mad because we're in there and he didn't bother to look at the calendar, right? It very, very soon, within a week, comes out that he is mad at us for doing it, period.
Yeah.
Now, he never yelled at me for it. Did he ever talk to you about it?
No, but he complained about the fact that I just remember him being so mad that we were there, right? Like, and then just mad at the whole thing. Like,
yeah. He never said anything. It's not like I got drug into the office and got yelled at.
No, he didn't do a confrontation thing, but this was one of those passive aggressive things.
He did pulpit shame the shit out of us, though. There were like 3 sermons where he mentioned, and then there's these women who think that they could just go and teach scripture without a man's permission, without me even knowing what's going on. And then we hear that he's telling Bible studies, telling women in other Bible studies not to listen to us and not to come to the table because he can't tell if we're saying things biblical or not.
Well, then just listen.
Yeah, we're an effing podcast. We're on, and that was my I tried to talk, like when it came out that he was talking shit behind our backs before he even pulpit shamed us. I was like, what the actual hell? Like, what is going on? And then when he said it in the sermon the first time, I was mad. And I tried to go to him and I tried to talk to him about it. And he told me it was a women's ministry matter and I needed to go to Charlotte. And I said, well, you clearly have a problem. Yeah. Because you said it from state. Well, I only said it because Charlotte has a problem. Charlotte doesn't even know what you're doing. And so then this is when it started. Charlotte had no idea we were doing it. And I was like,
which wasn't the truth.
Charlotte knew from the get-go. Like Brandy had been talking to her the whole time.
And that's the thing is that she did tell me, yeah, I know everything's fine.
Yeah.
So this was definitely an issue between them. And so somehow to save face and appease him, I guess she was throwing us under the bus. But at the end of the day, she kept telling me it was fine.
Yeah, I don't understand. I do not understand what happened. All I know is that Barry caught on to the fact that Tom was mad at us for doing a thing. And then this is kind of where that, like, you're excluding my wife. She, she would love to do things like this and you're excluding her. And it was like, she was invited. Like, we invited her to come to the table. We invited her on. It's not like it was just you and me every time. There was.
No, and this stuff was in the bulletin.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't do anything in women's ministry without Charlotte's okay. So, like, I don't know. It was the strangest thing because it was okay. And then it wasn't, but yet it was. But it wasn't. It was like, but I do think, like, deep down, she really wanted us to do it.
Yeah.
I really do. I feel like these were moments of Charlotte's where she was, like, genuinely not playing the game in the sense of she was like, you go girls.
Yeah.
And then for a while anyway, like, she was like, you go girls. And then also was like keeping Tom at bay, but letting us, like, does that make sense?
No, 100%.
Because we never really got, like, I mean, besides being like pulpit shamed and having some shit talk behind our back, we really weren't like, we didn't get in trouble.
No, but I think I would have been, it would have bothered me less if he would have hauled me in and chewed my ass, closed door style.
Yeah.
Than him telling people not to listen to us because he couldn't tell if no one gave us permission. So we're women out here teaching the Bible without anyone's permission. And so he can't tell people to come and listen to us because he doesn't know if we're being biblical or not. That made me more mad. Like, haul me in and yell at me like you're my dad, whatever. That's fine. I'm used to that. But you're going to tell people that I'm not biblical, but you're going to let Barry stand on stage with a microphone? Like, are you kidding me? Like, I was mad.
Yeah. But I do think, though, that, like, in the progression of things, because that happened, like, we did, whether we did it intentionally or not, it became part of the natural flow as we went from this quote unquote Bible study, Facebook Live, turn it into a podcast, to it really pushed us into the direction of podcasting only and being like, fine, like, it will no longer be a bulletined event. And I feel like we still kept it, like, open, like, all are welcome, but we're gonna do this thing. And then all of a sudden we couldn't do it in the sanctuary. We had to move into the small little conference room.
So Tom catches us, in September. We do one more from the stage, one more last hurrah.
While everybody's trying to figure out if we're in trouble or not.
And that one, there was only like 2 women who showed up to that last one.
Yeah.
And they were the women who were just like, screw this guy. Like, I like what you're saying. I'm going to show up no matter what. Yeah. And so we did one last one from the stage in October. And then we moved in. So in November and December, we moved into the little sanctuary. Yeah. The conference room, the
little
if you go to our Patreon, I did an episode where I like broke down the map of the church. You can go over there and you can find that episode there if you're curious as to like what we're talking about. But
we so cute, like, in the fact that we could not let go of this, like,
Sally Jesse Raphael. Like, we wanted so badly to be Ricky Lake.
Yeah, I was thinking about Brandy. Wasn't it Ricky Lake that had the bald guy that walked around the audience with the microphone? Was it her?
Oh, I thought it was Sally Jesse Raphael. Maybe not.
Was it who had the bald guy? I don't know. One of the two. But I was thinking it was Ricky Lake that had the bald guy with the microphone in the audience, but maybe it was Sally Jesse. But anyway, we had such a hard time letting go of that idea. We were so cute that we set up a little table and we bought a tablecloth and we had to like run wires because it's not set up for sound.
We bought a table. Okay, yes.
I bought a table. I did.
This room is not set up for sound. Remember Miss America's grandma's funeral, that whole debacle. Okay. So, and it's an empty room. So we have to like bring it. We go and find all these like panels for like echoing and all of this, right? We buy a table. We buy tablecloths. We buy covers for the chairs so it doesn't look like we're sitting in the church's chairs. We set up a little mini.
We had flowers.
We had flowers. We had all of this shit.
It was like the View to me.
No, it was. We were the View before the View. Like we thought we were something. We thought we were so cool. Oh my gosh. And so I will do my best to find screenshots of that because I know I had pictures. I took screenshots of these videos. And Brandy joined us for these. She did join us for these. But I'll do my best to find those and I'll add those over on our Patreon. But it was mostly Yumi and Brandy, and we sat and we did, a couple episodes just like that. But I mean, we had to like hide that we had like our microphone cords that we had to like tape down and try to hide and put like a flower in front of the cord so you couldn't see. And we really thought we were doing something. We really, really did.
Yeah, but also not enough to not be frustrated with it and then stop doing that just as quickly as we started.
Well, and part of the reason is we were using the church. We clearly knew Tom didn't support us. So we're still drinking that Kool-Aid of it's Tom's church. He's the authority. If he doesn't want us to do something, we shouldn't be doing it in his church. However, we feel like this is what God's asking us to do. So we're not going to stop doing it just because Tom doesn't like it. We just won't do it at church anymore.
Yeah.
We will honor Tom.
How many did we only do 2 episodes?
We only did 2 in the little sanctuary. Okay. Yep. And it was more out of, for me, I guess, for me personally, it was more out of guilt that I felt like if Tom didn't want me doing it, fine. I need to honor that authority.
Yeah.
So I shouldn't be doing it in his church at all.
All right. Well, and I feel like over those 2 months, right? So because that's November, December, you have your meeting with Barry in January. So this is why we had to tell that side of the story to come back too, is because you've got to understand like all of this other stuff is going on. And then you have this. So you, me, and Brandy get together and we have producer Brandy, you and me have a official come to the table meeting. We got our board of directors together and we decide that we are going to remove our podcast from underneath the umbrella of the church. Like this was a huge.
Yes.
Like this is a big, like we knew we were saying F you.
Yes.
To Charlotte, we were saying F you to Come As You Are. We were saying F you to Tom. We were saying fine. This was like never before done in history, right? This would be like the worship team saying, oh, Tom, you don't like the way we sing our songs. We're going to take our band and we're going to go record an album outside of the church with all the church people, but we're not going to call it
Come As You Are.
Church.
Yeah.
Right? Like this is the level that this was at.
And And you also need to understand, and I think this is also something that we can kind of address over on our Patreon, is we are functioning under the umbrella of authority. And so
Yeah.
I'll put that picture over on our Patreon. I'm sure a lot of our listeners are familiar with that. But you have this, like, there's God, and then there's your pastor, and then there's like the husband, then the wife, then the kids. And as you go lower, so like the kids are supposed to be protected by the mom, who is under the umbrella of the authority and is protected by the husband, right? And so we had one of those for the church as well. So you had Come As You Are. And then under Come As You Are, which Come As You Are also was Tom, because he was the ultimate authority. Then you had the ministries. So you had the big umbrella of Come As You Are. Then you had the women's ministry. And we were one of those little things underneath women's ministry. And so when you come out from under one of those umbrellas of authority, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, that is not just a big deal. Like you said, authority-wise, that is a big deal spiritually. Because now you don't have those upper levels, quote unquote, spiritually protecting you.
Yeah. And when you've got all the drama going on.
Yes.
Otherwise, you kind of scare some people when you say, and I remember you and I going to Charlotte, and we met in the kitchen in the gym, and we were like, hey, just need to talk to you really quick. And we totally did the, hey, it's not you, it's us kind of, right? It was a total breakup, but it was totally more of like, but it was also like, look, I know that you're worried and you're concerned about what we're going to say. And, you know, we feel like, and we tried not to be like, we want to say stuff, but you don't want us to. And so we totally turned it around about how you're worried about your reputation. So we don't want to say anything that's going to affect, you know, the church is going to have to be responsible for.
Yes. But also, like, can I remind our listeners that at the same time we're having this conversation with Charlotte is about the same time that I tell Barry he can suck my dick. Yeah. Like, literally within weeks.
This is all going at the same time. But I love how, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you're totally rocking the boat there. And then we're like, look, you know, we understand that, you know, you guys might not like everything we say. And so we don't want to cause you to have to worry. We're doing this for you.
Yes.
They totally were gaslighting the gaslighters. And I'll never forget the look on her face. And she's like, because, like, she knew exactly what we were saying.
But how can you argue against that? Because we were speaking the Come As You Are lingo. Like, we were saying all the things that anything that she could have come back with an argument, we had already addressed it, and there was nothing she could say against it because we said all the things. And then we put the nail in the coffin, and we were like, and we have to do this because ultimately God told us to. Oh, God told you. That's the magic words that Come As You Are.
And she was just like, well, what kind of things do you say? Or what kind of things are you wanting to say that might look bad on the church? And I was like, nothing. But we just, you know, because it's become an issue, because it's been brought up, because things have been said, we don't want to have to worry that what we're saying is going to. So it's just easier for both of us. But on that, like, it was just, she had nothing. Yeah. Nothing to say, except for she did have one thing to say. We had to invite her to our first recording outside of the church.
So our first recording is in January. of 2021, and we decide we are moving out of the church, fully out from underneath the umbrella. We're not even using their Wi-Fi anymore.
Oh.
We bought all of our own equipment. We had our own microphones. I bought like a little mini soundboard to plug everything into. Like, we had bought everything, and we moved it all to my basement at my house.
Yeah.
And Charlotte had to show up for that very first one.
Yeah. That was her. Well, and she did such a great job at acting like,
I'm going to
okay,
feed you
first of
now.
all, she hadn't been to one. Did she go to any?
She came to the first one because she did.
Okay, she
didn't understand what we were doing. She didn't participate and talk. She sat in the back, but she did come to the first one. Yes.
So she said we could do it, even though she didn't quite understand what we were doing. She came to the first one, went, "Oh, I get it," and then trusted us enough to not show up ever again.
Yeah, because when Tom showed up that day, Charlotte was at home, so Tom assumed if there was a women's thing going on, Charlotte would have been there.
Yep. And that's where she was like, "No, you go, girls. You're doing it, right?"
Makes sense. Part of the reason why he was so mad, because he went home and was like, "Why weren't you there?"
Yeah.
And then she had to account for that, and that probably did cause a fight.
Probably. But she had to show up at the first one. She's like, "Oh, but it's like," she acted like she had been to all of them, and it was so sad that we're not going to be doing it at the church anymore. Can she just please come and be a part? Like, she did a good job.
Yeah.
I mean, we knew she was lost.
Oh, yeah.
But her acting skills were like top notch.
No, because she came to.
And I was almost thoroughly convinced that she really loved what we were doing and wanted to be there.
No, and just to clarify, she didn't do our very first one because that was just me, you, and Brandy. But like, once we opened up after COVID, when other women could come in, and we weren't just Facebook Live, we had live women in the audience. That first one, that's what I meant. That's the first one she came to, and then she never came again.
No,
but she watched before we allowed women in the audience. When it was just, she watched him. She was on Facebook Live because you could see who's logged on.
Yeah. So we had our fourth woman who had joined us for a while. She had done a few episodes with us too, and she was there. And there were four of us and Charlotte recording that very first episode in your basement.
Yep. Oh my gosh, that was the one where. Is it Charlotte sitting on my couch? And one of my boys had like their little like Spider-Man underwear like in the couch cushion, and like, I mean, it's like my downstairs, I had like a big giant area. So like in my old episodes when I talked about doing in-home daycare, and you talked about like when you came into my in-home daycare area, right? Like that, when I stopped doing in-home daycare, my kids got older, like kind of half of that space was their living room. Like they had their video games, their movies, it was like their space. And then on the other half of that room, I just had podcast stuff set up. Yeah. And so it was their living room. And I don't know, little boys are gross. It was, I mean, like my kids were younger, but, and so she had found a little pair of underwear and was like, and I was like, sorry.
Like, what'd you put your hand on? Oh, little boy's underwear. Yeah. Okay, well, I mean, honestly, it could have been from a pile of laundry.
Yeah, because I mean, my washer and dryer were down there, and I would sit on the couch and fold laundry.
Yeah,
but
so
I'm like, sorry, 50-50 if they're clean. My bad.
Like, that's what you do. You're like, oh, they might be clean. They might not. Welcome to the kids zone. Yep. That's where we were. That was funny.
Oh yeah. But that was super awkward. But we had bought a bunch of stuff, not just for the set on the stage, but then for those couple episodes we had moved into the little sanctuary, we had bought a lot of stuff. And some of that we left and some we didn't. And I feel like some that kind of like plays into that like umbrella of authority stuff. So I feel like over on our Patreon, we're going to continue that conversation of what did we leave because we felt like it was the churches, and what did we choose to take? Because when we left our podcast and we left from under the umbrella of the church, we started a brand new feed, a brand new podcast feed. We left all of everything we had recorded up to that point at under the church's stuff. So that's why, you know, if you search Come to the Table and the church's name on YouTube, our videos pop up under their YouTube channel.
Yeah, the first one.
Because we left them there.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about why. Because the why behind that is a little effed up. Like now, hindsight 2020, we're out, we're Kool-Aid free. Like.
Yeah, and I still am like, I still have questions. I still go, I don't know. Should I have done that? Should I not? Like, I don't know. There's questions I have.
Yeah. So that's going to be a good conversation. Head over to our Patreon. Over there, you could buy individual episodes. But of course, we love our Patreon supporters who support what we do.
Burning Butterflies is a listener-supported podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by our amazing supporters on Patreon.
Follow the link in our show notes to learn how you can become a Patreon supporter too. Supporters get exclusive access to bonus content each month, including outtakes, cut content, and supporter-only episodes. If you've enjoyed this episode, please leave us a rating on your listening platform.
Burning Butterflies is a production of Asha Media. Thank you for listening.